Hi everyone, this is Eliana and I am so excited to show you my newest product. This is the Cut-A-Line. I've been working on this for about a year and a half. I wanted to make sure that it would do everything I wanted. The idea stemmed from using a craft knife with a ruler. Every time I would go use the craft knife, the blade would go astray. So I designed this tool to keep the blade in place. As I played with it and tested it out, I found multiple uses for this. In the package, you will get two rulers, a card size ruler and a scrapbook size ruler. So let me show you what the different markings are. I'm going to start with the smaller ruler because it's simply easier to get it in camera. At the top, you have a centering ruler. Just above the cutting guide, you have horizontal lines measuring 1/16. These are my favorite lines, and I'll show you why later. At the bottom, you see grid squares. The grid squares are 1/8, and there are some measurements on the side of the ruler as well. And these come in handy as well. On the bottom, you also have vertical 1/16 lines. The cutting guide is 6 inches, so it's perfect for card making. The larger ruler is exactly the same, except it's geared for scrapbooking. The slot or the cutting guide is 13 inches. So let me show you how you use this. I'm stamping out some sentiments, and what I'm doing is I'm using the lines on the ruler to line up my sentiment. I'm just picking out the lines that would be perfect for this. So because this sentiment has descending letters, I'm going to choose the grid lines, the grid squares, I mean. So I'm just going to line up the bottom of the sentiment, not the descenders, just the main part of the sentiment. I want to make sure that it is straight. Once I have it perfectly straight, I'm just going to take my blade and I'm just going to gently place it in the slot. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure to my blade, kind of like when you write with a pen. You don't push hard on your pen, so don't push hard on your blade. And you can just do this multiple times and you'll feel when the paper cuts through. Now for the other side, I'm going to use the exact same line, but I'm going to line up the top of the sentiment, not the ones that go above the main portion. So I'm using the exact same line. I am going to put pressure on my ruler to keep the paper underneath it in place. This is very important, otherwise your paper underneath will shift on you. If you have weakness in your fingers, you might want to consider using a little piece of washi tape to tape your cardstock down to your work surface. Otherwise, just a little bit of pressure should keep it in place. Now you have a sentiment strip that is perfect on both sides. Now if you want to get a little bit closer to your sentiment, the 1/16 side is perfect for this. This is my favorite side. So if you have a sentiment that has block letters, no descenders, you can use the 1/16 side. So I'm just lining up the sentiment with the lines. I'm gently going to run my blade down. I'm not putting much pressure on it, just like you would for a pen when you're writing something. And you're just going to draw it straight down. And for the other side, I'm going to use the exact same lines. I'm making sure that the bottom is lined up and the top of the letters are lined up. So now I'm going to run my blade again. I'm going straight down. I'm not resting the blade on the side of the ruler or anything like that. If you do that, you might gouge the ruler. The reason why I didn't put a metal guide in there was because it would make the slot too big. Now to trim your sentiment strips from side to side, I'm going to use the exact same line, and I'm going to use the ruler to guide me to make sure that it's straight. I'm going to do both sides. Now if you see that the markings are in your way, just choose another line. You're just going to line it up Put pressure over your sentiment strip so that it doesn't move, and then you're just going to run your blade down. Same thing for the other sentiment strip. You're going to use the same line as before, and you're just going to gently bring your blade down. There are so many markings on this ruler that you'll figure out what works best for you. I like to double check myself because I cannot draw a straight line, nor can I cut a straight line. But with the help of the ruler, I'm able to use the different markings to make sure that I'm straight. Now, another use for the cut line is to frame your focal image. So I've lined up my cardstock with the grid lines on the ruler. I am making sure that the edge of the focal image is even on the corner. Then I'm going to take the markings on the ruler and line it up on the edge. I'm looking at the vertical line, and I'm also looking at the horizontal line at the bottom. And I know that my cardstock is straight underneath there. So when I go to cut my frame, I'll have an even measurement all the way around. I'm just going to drop my blade in. I'm holding pressure on the ruler just to hold my cardstock in place underneath. Now for the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm lining up the white cardstock. So I have a vertical line and a horizontal line to make sure that I am straight. I'm going to put pressure on the ruler, and I'm just going to draw with my blade, and it'll cut through the paper. You can also use the cut-a-line to cut really thin strips. I just lined the ruler up and I am trimming out a 1/16 inch sliver. Another use for the cut-a-line is to use the cutting guide as a way to fold those intricate little die cuts. When the score lines are so close together, sometimes it's really hard to fold those in the right spot. So I just line up the score line with the cutting guide and then press the cardstock down. Once you get it pressed down, you can go ahead and use your bone folder to crease it. Now position your cardstock back into the cut-a-line slot, and now you're going to crease your cardstock again. Now your folds will be perfect. So I'll show you that one more time. I'm just going to take the die cut. I'm going to position it into the cutting guide. I'm going to line up the score line, and now I'm just going to fold the cardstock. Once it's folded, I can use my bone folder to press it down and crease it really well. Now I can slide it in again for the second fold. Just going to line it up, and then I'm going to press the cardstock onto the cut-a-line. And now you have your piece completed. Another use for the cut-a-line is to draw lines on your envelope. I'm just going to use the markings to line everything up, and I'm going to use my mechanical pencil. You do have to feed the lead in a little bit longer than normal just so that it reaches through the cutting guide. I'm going to use the line that I just drew as a guide to rest the ruler markings. And then I'm just going to keep drawing my lines. I am lining up the edge of the envelope with one of the vertical lines on the cut-a-line. And now you have your perfectly spaced lines to address your envelope. Thanks so much for watching this demonstration of the new cut-a-line by My Sweet Petunia. I hope you're just as excited about this new product as I am, and that you're excited to try it. Have a great day.